have you been studying that Glaswegian dictionary, Peter?
Well, I've actually been quite a few times to Glasgow, so I'm kind of familiar with it. But yeah, some people are really hard to understand.
Yeah.
You do that smile and nod, and then you get a funny look like, what the hell is, why are you nodding? Like, oh, sorry. And then you have to like say, oh, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. And then, yeah. But
slow it down. Talk very slowly, John.
Yeah, exactly.
Do my best.
We'll see how it goes.
It doesn't help when you mix alcohol into that equation either, Peter.
Oh, there you go. Maybe I should have got some too. So
well, I'm on the tea, so I'll stay sensible, Paul.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I just have one water.
Yeah. So how did you get started then, Peter? Where did it all begin? We were looking through some of the bio, and it was saying you learned a lot from your dad. Were you touring with your father? Was he a touring keyboardist as well then?
Yeah. My dad was a musician. He played the keyboards and the piano, and he started out with like a jazz band in Hungary. Yeah, I was born in Hungary. And then after a while we defected and ended up in Sweden.
Right.
And yeah, so he was a full-time musician, and then they would do all these gigs all around Sweden. And sometimes I would tag along, and with my mom, we'd go and stay with him for a few weeks or a few days. And then, so I guess, that's where it comes from, my dad and his record collection.
Yeah, a lot of influences from that then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, because I was initially, I mean, my dad was into mostly jazz.
Yeah.
And this was in the 70s, a lot of jazz fusion, jazz funk.
Yeah.
And when you're a kid, you're not really gravitating towards jazz funk.
Yeah.
But I was really into like synthesizers and electronic sounds, and a lot of the music, the jazz funk music from that era had a lot of synthesizers and that kind of sound. So that's what drew me into listening to actually check out the records, because I would read the sleeves and they would like list all the synthesizers that were used for the recordings.
Yep.
And the more synths that were listed, the more likely I was to put that record on and listen to it. And then, yeah, I love the sound. And then you go, well, the music is kind of funky. I kind of like this. And then, yeah, with time, I got more and more into that kind of, the jazz funk stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you just decide to start writing your own stuff then after that at a certain age then? Did you just think it's time to write something, use your influences? Well,
I was always, I had a dad who played piano, so it was only natural to try and take lessons from your dad to actually learn the piano, but it didn't work out that well. Taking lessons from your dad. So I was always like tinkering on the piano and playing my own little melodies. I was never really interested in playing somebody else's music. I was too impatient. I was always coming up with my own little riffs or whatnot. Yeah, so I was from early on, I always had an interest in making my own music in quotation marks. But yeah, eventually it became music, I think. But
and did you start DJing first, or did you start making the music first?
No, I was making music and getting more into production, and then DJing came later.
Because I read that you started on cassette decks as well. Is that right? Were you DJing with cassette decks?
No, not DJing. No, that would have been crazy.
That would be skill.
That's what I was thinking.
Have you seen? There's this video of this Russian guy who DJs with the cassette tapes.
Yeah. I think I seen that the other day.
He got some kind of scratching as well with the cassettes.
Yeah, that was crazy. I seen that as well. Yeah, like he was actually really scratching with the old reel players. That was wild. I never even realised that was like a thing back then.
Yeah, I don't know. No, but he was actually not reel to reel, but actually the small cassette tapes. Like
right, okay.
Yeah.
Walkman, 2 Walkman out.
Yeah, something like. I think he built his own kind of contraption, but yeah, it's really impressive.
That's cool. I've seen it like that before. I need to check that out. John, you were talking about that as well. Kind of beat juggling and like scratching with reel to reel. That's unique as well.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Check that out. So what kind of synth is it you go towards, Peter? You've got a real distinct sound on a lot of your tracks. There's maybe a go-to synthesizers that you like to use in the tracks, or you must have quite a collection.
No, I don't actually.
No?
Well, there's something over there, but not much. I used to have a lot of hardware, but these days I'm all software.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, so everything is in the box pretty much. I have like a guitar and bass that I use every now and then, but other than that, it's all software.
So do you think like the software is better than the hardware, or is it just more convenient for you? Or?
Convenience, yeah, because in the beginning I was struggling, especially with like bass sounds. It was hard to find soft synth that would work for bass. So I used the hardware for bass, and then everything else I kind of got more and more into using the software side of things, because for me, it's just so convenient working on multiple projects in parallel. You can just load everything up in the computer. You leave a project, you bring it up 3 weeks later, and everything is exactly where you left it. And back in the day, when I had all hardware, I used to take photos of everything and write down diagrams of whatnot, where the knobs were and all that. And if you want to like recall a mix, it's just So I was really happy when things finally started to sound proper, even with software. And for me, it fits me perfectly. But then, I mean, hardware is still something different. That tactile feeling and the inspirations you get from twisting the knobs and feeling that smell of burnt electricity, whatever. I can't beat that.
Smell of inspiration.
Yeah, no, but it is definitely. I mean, and it was a few years ago. I thought, okay, I'm gonna start buying synths again. I'm gonna start collecting.
Yep. Peter,
and then I almost bought a memory mode. It was they had it in one of the stores. It's very rare that they show up in the city. And I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna go buy them. It's expensive. And I thought, maybe I start with something else first, not go for the I don't know what, like $4,000 or something like that, which was cheap back then.
Yep.
So I bought this monophonic Yamaha CS30. It was way cheaper. And I got it and I played with it, and then it's like, okay, that's nice. But I never ended up using it in any productions because it was just a lot of hassle to this one has no memory, so you have to tweak everything for every track. You have to set up the sound again, and then if you want to go back to a mix, you have to remember where the knobs were and all that.
Yep.
So I love it for inspiration, and it's a nice piece of hardware to tweak around. But I thought, okay, no, I could spend my money on something else and just save something else and just focus on music making, because I didn't end up using it in any production anyway. So.
Can you? There must be a magic formula to the bass line, Peter. Can you teach me and John? Because my God, you write some funky bass lines. How do you get it so damn funky? Come on, teach us. What's the secret?
Oh, that's funny.
My God, they are funky.
I'm very happy because I do get that quite a lot. Like people pick up on the bass lines, and I always love bass lines. I've always been fascinated with bass lines. So I do spend a lot of time on bass and bass lines because I love it. And it's really nice when other people are nerdy like that as well. They pick up on it.
Come on, what's the secret? Out there, Peter.
I don't know, man.
That is every bass line is so goddamn funky.
Oh.
Too goddamn funky.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's about syncopation a lot of the times, and kind of ghost notes as well on the bass, like to get some kind of rhythm going. Have static bass that just the quarter notes or eighths, which is really boring. You have to shift it around a bit and make it a little bit off kilter. And
you're born with it, Peter. You're born with it. Just say,
I don't know.
Me and John will never reach those heights of those bass lines.
Oh, come on. But it's fun. Bass is fun though, because you can, if you, which I used to do when I was younger, I was always like have solos and melodies and all over the place, and it's in your face, and it kind of can be distractive. But with the bass line, you can sneak in fills and stuff, and it's not super obvious. But if you pay attention to it, then you can find details, and it's fun. Like having something that it's the foundation of the track in a sense, because it keeps the groove and the bottom end. But you can also be a bit creative, and I always do fills and stuff, and try to vary the bass line throughout the track.
Yeah.
And if you're not into that kind of stuff, you won't pick up on it because it's a bass, so you just feel the thump of it, whatever. But if you're a bit nerdy and you're like that kind of stuff, you will pick up on it. And perfect.
Call me a nerd, Peter. You call me a nerd, you would be right. You would be right.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. No, it's just as soon as the bass line comes in, it's just gives it that character, and that's your sound. You know, it has such your tracks have such a unique original sound. So I think it's the effort you put into that makes a huge difference, because it sets the tone of the whole track, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, but then it depends on what you're going for too, because a lot of stuff, well, especially if you play for dance floor in a club or something, sometimes the really simple stuff is what works the best.
Yep.
And for me, it's kind of hard to keep it that simple. Like, I can't help myself. I always have to put something in there and add little bits, and like you end up with this big fluffy, like, I don't know, wedding cake when you were supposed to make a brownie, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the brownie is just way better, but
that's a good comparison. Actually, I like that.
Yeah, I just came up with that. No, but so it's both good and bad, I guess.
Yeah.
And how do you generally get started with a track? Do you always is there an idea in your head that you're going for, or do you like to just sit and experiment until something sticks for you?
Yeah, I don't really have a formula as such, but obviously if you're doing remixes, there's 9 times out of 10 there's an a cappella. Mm-hmm. So I start with the vocals, and I'll start with the chorus, just loop the chorus, and then usually I have like a default drumming, like I have a template that I load up but it's really basic, and it's just got like a 4/4 beat drums, and just to have the tempo, and then I start messing around with chords usually, and then whatever excites me will follow. So I don't. That's the beauty of working with in computers, that it's not linear. You can work on whatever part of the production you feel like first, and then
definitely
things will fall into place, hopefully. So I try to not be formulaic about things, so I can surprise myself sometimes. So but usually chords, and start out with the chorus, I guess, if it's a remix.
Because I think that's what me and John were talking before you came on, and your tracks always progress. Do you make a point of always trying to keep them moving? Is that the clue in your name, OPOLOPO? It's all about kind of moving forward,
Yeah, you pick up on that. That's good.
Yeah.
I do, actually, because also when I listen to music, when you listen to demos or promos, you get tons of promos, and it's really cruel and rude, but you click through it. Mm-hmm. You have the track on your stream, and you listen to the beginning, listen to the middle, listen to the end.
Yep.
And a lot of times it sounds exactly the same wherever you drop in or listen in on the track. And I like when there's some kind of progression with things, either like harmonically or arrangement wise or intensity.
Yep.
So I think I just naturally try to do. I try to strip things down, and then build it up towards some kind of climax, and then.
Yeah, because you get quite comfortable listening to the track, and I always find with your tracks, it's always like, oh, what's happened there? Something's just changed, and it's just like a key change, or just something that just grabs you again, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, or throws you off, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I struggle with. That I sometimes I do noodle around too much.
That's kind of draws us towards it. I think
simpler, but it is what it is.
We'll get this formula for the bass line out you by the end of this interview, Peter. Keep working on them, John. Keep working. So what you've been working on recently then? I heard that was a couple of the new tracks, a couple of new vocalists and stuff you've been working with. What's some of your most recent releases that are upcoming then, Peter?
Well, the most recent one that was just released was the remake of the brand new Heavy's Stay This Way track with Angela Johnson.
Angela, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a really fun one, and I'm actually that was for Real People Music.
Yep.
And I'm doing another one for them, probably for September, something like that.
Right.
But then also I've been working on a new album for Local Talk Records from here in Stockholm, and that should hopefully drop sometime August, September too.
Right.
So that's mainly what I've been working on. And then remixes as well.
'cause it was Angela's vocals on that one sounded just incredible. I think she was just singing that right for the house, basically, wasn't she?
Yeah, no, she was amazing. And because I've done a remix for Dave Lee, Joey Negro, a few years ago with Angela on vocals. So I know she was a great vocalist. But then when I got the files, I was just blown away because everything was just, well, first of all, it's perfectly recorded.
Yep.
Everything was just nice and tidy, perfectly labeled. The harmonies were super tight. Everything was bang on pitch wise. Everything, it was just such a pleasure to work with her. And she's just such a pro. And then when she did that live video, because I haven't seen her live, I never met her.
Yep.
And just her energy and everything was just, lovely. So she's awesome.
Inspiring.
Yeah.
Z Records with Joey's label. You doing more with Joey or Dave? Are you doing more with it?
Yeah, well, I have this EP. I did a 6-track EP, like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, and I'm doing another one.
Yep.
But it's hard to get it finished. I have
with it
because Dave knows what he wants.
Yeah.
And I don't. So no, I kind of do, but and yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going a bit back and forth on tracks and stuff, and I have something I just recently worked on that I'm hoping is gonna make that EP, and then we'll see what happens with it. But there's something in the works there as well.
I was looking at your catalogue of tracks as well. You've got some amount of tracks that you've put out there. You must be in the studio like 24/7, basically, like working through those tracks, like constantly working on those bass lines.
Well, that's the thing too, that I do a lot of remixes, obviously, and with a lot of that stuff, you know, people have deadlines and they want things by a certain date, but then it never gets released on that date. Mm-hmm. Everything gets pushed back and whatnot, and so there will be times when 5 remixes pops up in 1 month, and and people go, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" But then, of course, I didn't do them in 1 month. I mean, they were done, I don't know, could have been done months ago or a year ago even. So it kind of depends when you check out what I'm doing. Like, so there will be periods when there's a lot of stuff coming on, and then there can be quiet periods as well. So, but I mean, I'm doing music full time, and I don't have a family, so I have a bit of time.
A synthesizer family.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It was saying you do remixes with, was it Gregory Porter, or collaborations and stuff? And I noticed you done one with Azimuth as well. I overlooked that one. Was it Azimuth? What was that one?
But there was a remix for Out. Yeah, it was quite a few years ago.
Right.
But yeah, that was a fun one.
No wonder, because their track Jazz Carnival, you know, the Azimuth Jazz Carnival, I think that's probably one of my favourite tracks ever. There's just something great about that track, isn't there? So I never actually noticed you'd remixed for them.
Sorry?
I didn't actually realise that you'd done a remix for Azimuth. I need to look back for that.
Yeah, I would love to do more stuff on the like the more jazzy side, because obviously that's my background more than anything else, really. So, or like, that kind of, with lots of nice chords and melodies and stuff. But it depends. Yep.
So I'm not distracted. A couple of guinea pigs fighting next to me here, Peter. A couple of new guinea pigs have arrived in the room in the studio.
Guinea pigs? Oh, no way.
And every so often they kick off. I'm trying not to get too distracted, but they're fighting next to me here.
They're still not settled in yet?
No, still not
taking over.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Peter, but it's chaos in that cage at the minute, but I'll keep an eye.
Maybe you need to go over and talk to them.
Basically, we had one guinea pig called Ziggy. He was called Ziggy.
Right.
And we got 2 new ones, Lennon and McCartney, basically, they were called. They're an absolute nightmare. It's 3 boys that don't get along. So, anyway.
3 boys. Oh, that sounds like trouble.
I cannot believe that guinea pigs are so territorial. I always thought they were like these gentle things.
They're predators, aren't they?
Anyway, back to the music. Sorry to put you off. But, it's the World War guinea pig in there at the minute, so I'm just trying to referee it.
Yeah.
World War G.
World War G. Oh, brilliant. I want to ask you as well, Peter, some of the names of your tracks are phenomenal. I always said to John, one of my favourite names of your tracks, I wonder if you can maybe shine a bit more light on this one, but Mr. Zog's Sex Wax, like you have. When I told John and let him hear that, what were you like, John? You're like,
yeah,
I was shocked.
It's actually not that bad. I watched the a few years ago, documentary on surfing.
All right.
And that is actually a brand of wax that we use for the surfboards.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right, right.
So when I heard that, oh, that's a track name. That's perfect. I'm writing that one down. So yeah, that's where that came from.
Oh, I was not taking it too serious. I like that, but just when I told John that name, he's like, "What the fuck? What did you just say to me there?" What do you meaning behind that?
Well, yeah, you can fantasize about that one if you want.
I might get a new guinea pig and call it Mr. Zog.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Or a female to calm them down.
Yeah, and put some wax on them.
That's the last thing they need. Who are some of your kind of biggest influences then, Peter, would you say, from maybe back when you were starting to get into it, and maybe even now? Who is it standing out to you even now? Where do you draw your influences from?
Well, yeah, again, it's the jazz funk stuff. Obviously the records my dad would buy, and some of them I've just stuck with me. One of my biggest influences was, or still is in a sense, of Jeff Lorber, who was still is, of course, a keyboard player who had back in the 70s something called Jeff Lorber Fusion, which was, it was jazz funk fusion, and with like he has a very distinctive style of soloing and melodies and chord progressions, which I was really into. And then Herbie Hancock.
Can we just take a moment to respect the man that is Herbie Hancock?
Yeah, I mean he's an absolute legend. I would say he's probably my biggest influence in many ways. And George Duke, Earth, Wind and Fire were huge for me.
Yeah.
But then because my dad would bring, like I said, he would bring back. He bought a lot of records and mostly jazz stuff. But every now and then he would buy something he didn't quite know what it was, and he would hate it, but I would like it. Like one of them was Confunction.
Right.
It's a boogie funk band from the started out in the 70s, and that kind of got me into the more funky side of things.
Right.
But yeah, for inspiration, I still go back to like George Duke and Herbie Hancock and those guys.
What about today then? What about maybe people that are standing out to you today in the kind of new scene then? Who would you say is kind of standing out?
Well, there are a lot of amazing people out there, definitely. It depends on what you're going for, listening for. I mean, as far as like songwriting and stuff, and even production, I like to go back to the old stuff, because I don't want to copy something that's contemporary, really. So I like to be inspired by the old stuff from 70s, early 80s, and then do my own spin on it.
Yep.
But then there are people like, At Jazz is one of my favorite producers, because he has this very distinctive sound, and everything is just so perfectly balanced, and his like sonic universe is really, oh sorry, my phone is going off, is really like, he's in the league of his own, I think.
Yep.
And also when I started going more into the housey side of stuff, or things, I would listen to Masters at Work, because obviously the production and everything, but also they had the jazz influences with the Latin stuff and lots of percussion and all that.
Yep. And
obviously he's still doing that kind of stuff, which is great. And then I don't know, there are other people like Cody Curry, young guy, who's doing more of sample-based stuff in a really tasteful way. I think it's easy to do like the generic looping 2 bars from some disco track and then just calling it a track, but he works with samples really well, I think, and he has this dusty lo-fi kind of sound, which I quite enjoy. Same as the German guy Max Grave, also a young guy. On the house side of things. And then I still am heavily into the broken beat stuff that came out of West London, and people like Heidi Tatham. He's an amazing keys player, and I love the way his chord progressions, and also his crazy syncopated rhythms and that kind of stuff.
It's interesting to see what our guests who influence the guests, because we always find out more music, or the viewers can find out more music.
Yeah. Then also Ricky Reed fellow Scottish guy. I don't know if he lives in Glasgow, but he's Scottish. He does things under James Lestrange Orchestra.
Oh yeah.
Really beautiful stuff. I think he uses a lot of software too, but it makes it sound like really organic, lots of strings and orchestral stuff, and
nice one.
Super musical and like really nice quality jazz influence stuff, which I really like.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
And what's your plans for the future as well? Like obviously it's a bit of a crazy time in the world right now. Have you got like plans for coming up?
Yeah, total world domination. That's the main.
So start small.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
No, I don't know. I mean, it's the times have been crazy and like practically hasn't been much of a difference for me because I work from home and I do my thing. I mean, obviously all the DJ gigs are gone like everybody else. But yeah, I've just been keeping on doing music as I usually do. But of course, nobody knows really where things are going, and are people still up for buying music? When should you release something now, or do you want to wait, see if things change? Or so it's tricky, but yeah. So my plans, I don't know, that it's just keep on doing what I've always been doing and hope for the best, I guess.
One bass line at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Taking over the world one bass line at a time.
That's a good way to take over the world, I think. Yeah. If I would do that, then that would be my way of doing it. Yeah.
You'd go down in history for that one, Peter. I can't really delay this any longer. The Disco Dash, Peter. Are you happy to play our little game show? Have you?
Yeah, right. Sure, let's do it.
For anyone who's watching who doesn't really know what this is, it's the 3 household items, and John times them each, and
got an important job.
They write their score on their time.
Oh, that's nice.
Look at that. Look at that. I didn't go to art school.
You spelled it wrong. You spelled it backwards.
Got a mirror on there. That's supposed to be a bass guitar. Like I said, I didn't go to art school, and that's obviously a synth. We're trying to personalise it for you, Peter.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, definitely. Are you ready for this, then, Peter? We'll usually just round off the interview with something a bit light-hearted, a bit of Disco Dash.
Yeah, let's go.
We'll see how you get on, all right? I'm just going to hold up the board. John can talk you through the times, because I can't hold the microphone and hold the board. We'll go into glamorous assistant mode.
So basically, we've still got Natasha Kitty Katt at the top with 20 seconds flat. I don't know if that one's ever going to get beaten, to be quite honest, but we can always try. We can always try, Peter.
Right.
So we've got Natasha Kitty Katt at 20, and then second place we've got 27.09. So we're looking for as close to 20 seconds as you can get, if not under.
Okay.
What was items
you're asking for? Am I disqualified then?
Say that again.
If I don't have the items you're asking for, am I disqualified then?
Oh.
Yeah, the host kicks you out of the chat. No, I think we'll try and keep it simple for you, Peter.
All right.
You should have these in the house.
Right.
Right, you ready for your 3 items then?
I have to take off my mic then so I can go run. Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Don't trip over anything. Your 3 items are a pair of headphones, toothpaste, and your quirky item.
All right.
All right, go.
Oh, he's off like a shot. Oh, yeah. This is a good strong start.
Oh, this is a strong start.
He's brought toothpaste into the studio right now.
I got to get him out the room.
Oh, this is quick. Oh, 14.1 seconds, Peter. You are the champ. Top of the leaderboard.
Top of the board.
Natasha Kitty Katt has been dethroned, unfortunately.
Natasha's just crying herself out. What was it exactly, John?
14.1.
14.1. Wow.
I'm so impressed right now.
Yeah, me too. Fucking hell. I'm usually a very slow guy, so that was impressive for me too.
Look at that, Peter. Outstanding. Sorry, Natasha.
So what was your quirky item, Peter?
Right to the top of the board, Peter. Outstanding.
Oh, that's amazing. Did I win a prize?
Just the respect of your fellow
pride.
Yeah, I'll take that. Respect is good.
we've got a small budget, Peter. We don't. This show is quite a low budget, to be honest. And I spent the budget in a bottle of wine.
For money, what the hell, man?
What was the quirky item you had then?
This baby right here.
Oh,
right, okay. Oh, the tape deck.
Yeah, that's my first studio. It's a Fostex 4-track cassette recorder.
Brilliant.
Oh, is that where it all started?
From '83, yeah, that's where it started.
Nice.
And remember these kids?
Oh, what is that? I don't.
Maxell C90, the
top of the range,
iconic cassette tape.
That is a bit of history right there.
Yeah. So yeah, this is first time. Well, actually, that's where that comes from with the tape decks you were talking about in the beginning. Yeah, because I used to have 2 cassette tape decks, and I would record just the bounce recording from one to another.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For overdubbing.
Yep.
Yeah. But then I got this one, and then you could actually record 4 channels independentely.
Awesome.
So
that was a game changer. That was a game changer when that arrived.
It was amazing back then. I sound like shit, but it was still amazing for a 15-year-old kid. I mean, it was
No, thanks a lot for taking time to chat, Peter. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thanks for having me.
You still haven't told us that secret to the baseline, though, but we'll get you eventually.
Yeah, when you send me the money, I'll talk about the baseline.
Paul, stop buying all that wine and give him some money.
Brilliant. No, thanks a lot, Peter. We'll catch up with you again soon, all right?
Thanks,
all right, guys.
Take care, my friend. Speak to you soon.
Peace. All right, thanks.